Hello everyone, welcome back to another review, and today we are going to be reviewing the Spider-Man Prison Transport Chase, which is number 76349. It comes in at 367 pieces, and it retails for $50 USD. Yeah, so starting off here, I do really like the box art. I think it is quite eye-catching. It has definitely quite a few colors. I really like the contrast of the blue and then these sort of yellowish color over here, kind of like sunlight color. I think that's really cool. And then we also have 4 minifigures that come in this set. 3 are named characters and 1 is just the damage control guard. And the big thing here is that we are getting a tombstone for the first time in Lego form, which is very exciting, and I'm sure a big reason why a lot of people would be picking up this set. So without further ado, let's get into the detailed review. Of course, first things first, we have the main build of the set, which is the Prison Transport, of course, the Damage Control Prison Transport. And right off the bat, I think this is just a really good looking build. It is packed with details. There are, of course, a lot of stickers going along the side. There are more stickers, of course, over here. Not any prints on the outside to be seen. There's also another sticker here for the license plate, and this is a little reference here to the number of the set, so that's cool. And of course, this is also a reference to the Amazing Spider-Man. Also really like the way they made use of this prison piece here, this prison kind of window piece here. I think that is a very cool look, just for kind of like the grill of the front. And then also, I also thought this was really cool, there's a little bit of suspension here, which that will make it less hard to roll this along on carpet. Of course, this is a wood table, so you're not going to have any issues, but if you do roll this around on carpet, that will make it just a little bit easier, and I just like the inclusion here. And that, I thought that was very cool. And then also we do have some stud shooters here. We can kind of just shoot each one of those off. And sometimes I feel like these stud shooters get in the way of the build and they just kind of stick out like a sore thumb. But I feel like in this they hit it enough within the build that it doesn't look odd and doesn't look weird where it is. I think it actually adds to the build, and I think it makes it look better, probably, to have these stud shooters there, which is definitely not always the case, and usually really not the case. The underside is nothing to write home about. It's just kind of what you would expect. Looks fine for what it is, and of course you're not really ever going to be looking down there anyway. And then moving on to the interior, we have the back part, which is for Tombstone here. So it's very easy to set him down in there, and then you can also close it up very easily with him inside. And then moving on to this part of the interior, we can also lift this up, and there is a decently spacious interior, but I definitely did think that they could have done some more with this space in here, given just how big this prison transport is. Like, you can see all of the studs of space that just are not being used. Like, there's 4 studs right here that's just a wall pretty much, and then 4 studs here, and then I don't know how many studs this is, 1 2 3 4 5 6, like about 6 or so studs on this side, and just none of that is being used, which I just thought was a little bit of a waste of space. But there is some details inside. You have an extra gun right there, and you also have some handcuffs, and there is enough room to set the damage control guard in there, so there is enough room for that. And then I guess if you really wanted to, you could probably fit another figure in the back here. So you can fit another figure back there. The gun is kind of in the way right now, but so you could fit another one back there theoretically, but it definitely is a tight fit, and there's not even really another minifigure in this set that it would make sense to put in the vehicle. But all in all, I think that this is a cool build, but I would have maybe liked to seen a little bit more from this build with that $50 price tag. If there was a little bit more going on in the interior, I think that would be great. I think that about does it for the build here, and let's move on to the minifigures. First up, we have Spider-Man here, and I said this in my last video, I think this is one of the best Spider-Mans that we have ever gotten from LEGO because it is just packed with detail, and I also think it is very eye-catching with the blue highlights here and just all of the prints going all around and all of the details. Of course, we have side arm printing, we also have a great torso print, dual molded legs, and then print going onto the face, of course, and around back, and then also torso printing on the back. And I think all the prints look very nice. Of course, the red on the arms is a little bit faded because of the blue underneath. And of course, LEGO just has a little bit of an issue with printing lighter colors over darker colors, which it isn't a huge problem on this figure in particular, but definitely something to keep in mind. And then of course, I do wish that this figure had a lighter shade of blue, but I still think that he looks very, very nice. Next, we have Tarantula. And once again, he is covered in prints. He has great leg and toe printing, and then also some print coming onto the torso, which again looks very nice, and a face print, and also back head print, and then torso print on the back there. And I do really like the use of this mask piece. And then he also has spikes as his accessories, and then you can also lift that up, turn that around, and then that's what it looks on the underside beneath that mask. So I think that this is a very, very good looking figure to come in this set. All of the figures in this set I think are well detailed, and he definitely meets that, but I do think he is one of the sort of outliers in this set since he does come in the damage control building. I do really wish that they could have put a different minifigure in here, maybe like Punisher or something like that, but I don't think it's a big problem to have a duplicate figure in here since most people will not be buying both sets, probably since they are a little bit pricier, so I don't think it's a huge deal, and he is a very good figure nonetheless. Next, we have Tombstone, which I think is definitely the highlight of this set for most people, including myself. And then there is a very nice torso print on his torso there, and then no leg printing, which I think works completely fine since he's just kind of wearing like suit pants probably, so that's not a big deal. And I also do really like the face print there. I'm not the biggest fan of the hairpiece here, but that could be what it looks like in the movie, so I'm not going to complain too much until I see the movie, but you could always just swap out the hairpiece here if you really feel like you want to. And then also you can pick this up, and then we do see a more just serious face here on the back instead of the kind of smirk face on the front. And then of course he does come with these two stud shooter guns, which you can shoot out, and then that kind of wraps it up for this figure. Lastly, we have the Department of Damage Control guard, and then right off the bat, I think this is a very nice torso print. Of course, no leg printing, which I don't feel like is a big deal for this figure, and then also a cap up top, some nice face printing on the front. Of course, there is no face print on the back since she is wearing that cap, and then also some very nice printing on the back of the torso. This is definitely a simpler figure, but I think it works fine since she's just a nameless character. I don't really think that that's a big deal. And yeah, I really like that they included this in these sets so there could be someone to drive the prison transport. But that concludes it for the figures. And before we wrapped up this review, I thought it would be worthwhile to at least make mention of all these web pieces that you can use for Spider-Man. So this one was just a build that the instructions showed you how to put together, but there are also several other parts in here where you can make your own little thing if you so choose, and also this handcuff piece which you can put on one of the bad guys in the set. And I just think it's really nice to get these extra parts, so in case you're wanting to make a little scene with your build, or if you just wanted to play around. But yeah, great inclusion overall. So wrapping up this review with some final thoughts, I will say that the building experience was good, but I will say that it went by quite fast, which is never something that you want to happen if you do really enjoy the build. And I will say for that $50 price, that the build probably shouldn't have felt as short as it was. And I wouldn't even say that I'm a super fast builder by any means. I like to take my time with things. So the building did go by pretty quick. But I will say that the building experience was fun though, and I do think that the end product looks very nice and is very playable as well. I do, again, like the minifigure lineup, with maybe the exclusion of Tarantula, but I don't think that that's a huge issue. But other than that, I do really like the figures that come in this set, and I'd say that I could recommend this for someone to buy. I would probably wait for a sale on it because there definitely will be sales on this set. I'm sure of it. So if you don't have your heart set on buying this right away, I would just wait for that sale. But if you do want to buy it right away, maybe go on to lego.com and at least get points. So that about concludes this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. I hope that this was useful to you. Even if you weren't planning on buying the set, I hope you at least enjoyed your time watching this video. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.